Welcome back to the Real Screen Team. I'm Andrew Thomas. I'm here with fellow doctors Christopher Johnson and
hello everyone,
and John Walston.
How you doing?
Good. And we're finally finishing up the Hartnell era with season 3 / season 4.
Yeah, well, 2 episodes of season 4.
Yeah.
Well, 2 stories.
The vast majority of this season is gone.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Well, after their previous adventures, the TARDIS trio lands onto an arid planet where they encounter the Dravins and the Rills, 2 species stranded on a planet as it's going to explode. And of course, both factions are having conflict. We also see the Doctor and his companions land in the city of Troy during the Trojan War. The Doctor is kidnapped by the Greeks and forced to make a plan to conquer Troy, while Vicky and Stephen are kidnapped by the Trojans and forced to help make a plan to defeat the Greeks. That is also a story where we unfortunately have to say goodbye to a companion, but then we gain a new companion.
Temporarily.
True. And then we get into the Doctor, or the first Doctor, having his final conflict with the Daleks as they plan to conquer the solar system with the help of a time destructor, a weapon that can destroy all life on a planet by accelerating the flow of time. And this is the story where we deal with one of the more intense things involving companions traveling with the Doctor. We see companions die. Then after that, we see the Doctor and Stephen arrive in France in 1572 during the eve of the Saint Bartholomew's Day massacre, where Stephen gets caught into a Huguenot plot to assassinate the Catholic Queen. Where we also meet a new companion that is a descendant of a Huguenot woman they met during the course of the story. It's weird. It's weird. Then we see the Doctor, Stephen, and their new companion arrive on a giant spaceship millions of years in the future, which is carrying the last of humanity away from a doomed Earth, along with their servants, an alien race known as the Monoids. Then, the Doctor and his companions arrive in a strange domain presided over by the Celestial Toymaker, an enigmatic, immortal entity who forces the companions to play a series of childish but deadly games to reunite with the Doctor, who's held captive by the Toymaker to play the Trilogic game. Then we see the TARDIS team land in the town of Tombstone, Arizona, in the Wild West, where they get themselves involved in the events leading up to the gunfight at the OK Corral. Then we see the Doctor and his companions arrive on an unnamed planet, where they encounter 2 distinct people, the Elders and the Savages. They soon discover that the Elders are the evil ones, draining the Savages of their life force so they can remain young and powerful forever. This is also the time where another companion decides to stay to help the Savages. Then we see the Doctor land back in 1960s London, where he teams up with a couple new companions to work together to stop the self-thinking computer Whoathon from invading London with the deadly war machines under its control. And this is also where another companion disappears, never to be seen again, and we get 2 new companions. Then we see the Doctor and his new companions arrive on the coast of the 17th century Cornwall. Pirates led by Captain Samuel Pike are searching for a hidden treasure, while a smuggling ring masterminded by the local Squire Edwards is trying to offload contraband. And then finally, the Doctor and his companions land at the snow-capped space tracking station in Antarctica in 1986. A routine space mission starts going wrong. When the base's personnel suspicions are roused, the Doctor informs them that the space capsule is being affected by the gravitational pull of another planet named Mondas, the Earth's twin planet, and the home of another of the Doctor's most dangerous and ever-evolving recurring enemies, the Cybermen. Now, while all of that does sound really awesome, unfortunately we did not get the opportunity to watch all the stories that were just discussed because, unfortunately, this is one of the seasons that is greatly affected by the BBC junking episodes and stories. Yep, of the 12 stories I just listed, 7 of them are either completely missing or mostly missing all of their episodes. And it's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
But with how I discussed one way in which Doctor Who was able to kind of give us the episodes due to the audio and stills, there's also another way that they were able to give us these episodes, and that was through animation, where they decided to get various animation teams to go ahead and either animate missing stories to go along with the original audio, or they just decide to use the original audio and completely animate the whole story. They started doing this with one of the earlier stories that we talked about, The Reign of Terror, where they animated a couple episodes that were missing.
They look really good.
Yes, very well done. Very well done. And in season 3, they decided to completely animate the story Galaxy 4, the opener of season 3. Because all the episodes were missing. But they had perfect audio.
Well, they have all but one. One episode's found.
Really?
Yeah, they found
one episode was found?
Yeah, but everything else was lost. Yeah. But the other 3 were lost, so yeah.
But with the use of that, and a lot of the stills that were taken during, recording, they were able to make a very faithful adaptation of that story through animation. I mean, any of your thoughts on?
I think it's incredible that people have over the years have gone through the very meticulous work of trying to find some of these episodes, and and the teams that animated the episodes that they decided to animate and bring back in just the episodes that were part of like half stories. I thought it was very well done, the ones that I've seen. Even the ones in the Troughton era. We're not there yet, but they continue. This continues to be a trend amongst all the missing stories of the classic era, and I think they're really well done.
Except for the Crusades on the Blu-ray box set.
Yeah,
that became just a telesnap reconstruction for the 2 lost episodes 2 and 4. Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah, those are just telesnap reconstructions with the audio that they had. Yeah.
And one weird way that they were able to fill in the gaps, they literally had William Russell go ahead and give us a narration of what happened.
As Ian Chesterton.
Yeah. But, well, first, why don't we get into the Doctor this season?
He still evolved. He was still pretty nicer when it came to most of his companions that he was familiar with. He was just a little rough when it came to always getting a new companion bit by bit. I think he was still more attached to Steven and Vicky than the other companions, although he might have had been attached to Dodo because she looked more like his granddaughter at that time. But she's still not my favorite character, but still.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, and he can somehow have a psychic prediction about his final story of the Cybermen showing up. He does say that he senses something's coming when they leave, when they go to 10th Planet.
I think I think it's kind of, I guess it's kind of a thing with all the doctors that at some point they kind of know that their time is coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when the War Doctor said, "Oh, guess I'm wearing a bit thin."
Yeah, and we also see what will become the first Doctor once we get to the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I love the expansion on the 10th Planet
Yeah.
that Twice Upon a Time delivers.
Yep. But we'll get into that once we get there.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you on that with Hartnell. I think Hartnell was perfectly what his character was
Yeah.
to be at this point.
Yeah.
You see him come full circle where all the development over the last 2 seasons coalesces into like the, I don't want to say perfect form, but like the, the essential like final end game of the first Doctor, and just how much he's learned, and yeah, there is a compassion and a warmth for his companions, the ones he's familiar with. But I think one of the key characteristics of the first Doctor is no matter how much he preaches, I think he hates change. The first Doctor, as an individual, as a man, I believe that character hates change.
Mainly because
Very
William
much
Hartnell didn't like change at all.
Exactly, and I think that there was a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of William Hartnell in the first Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can just see it.
And in weird ways, we see it continue with every other incarnation as time goes along.
Yeah. Some actors who play the Doctor are familiar with some companions more than others. Yeah.
But I guess, should we go into our favorite stories?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I'll start with the Daleks' Master Plan, even though it's incomplete. There are still 3 episodes of the 12-episode epic, pretty much.
9 episodes are missing. 9.
Along with the prequel Mission to the Unknown, too. But we get to see where we get our first appearance of Nicholas Courtney, pre-Brigadier, as Brett Vine, who sadly gets killed off and never seen ever again in the show. That's a shame that we'll never see him ever again.
Not once.
Then we'll see Then we get to see Jean Marsh again as Sarah Kingdom, because she was in the Crusades, playing, I think, King Richard's sister.
She was Joanna.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, she was. Yeah, but she played Sarah Kingdom, who was also happened to be Brett Vine's sister who killed him. Of course, we also say goodbye to Katarina, who also dies in episode 4 at the same time.
Man, wait.
Well, I'm telling why I like the story.
Okay.
And we also get the return of the Meddling Monk for the story, who we technically in the television terms never see again. So this is his final thing. And we get our first Christmas episode in this, where the Doctor breaks the fourth wall. Which is also debated between the writers and the directors, whether he meant to do it or it was in the script. That's debatable. It's up to alternate findings on there. And then I guess my second one would be the War Machines. Basically, he's introduced as Pen and Polly, and we get sort of a Dalek ripoff with the Whoathon, who controls people, the machine that controls people, and then finally the 10th Planet, which is Hartnell's final story. Even though he doesn't really after the first 2 episodes, he doesn't really do much. He's just held hostage by the Cybermen, pretty much. He does have some good one-liners against the guy in charge, occasionally, who ends up going nuts to save his son.
I would say my 3 favorite. I love the Celestial Toymaker. It's so cool. Kind of harkens to me in some ways. Well, that would be getting into the second Doctor's era, which I won't do. But I enjoyed the Celestial Toymaker, and I find that it will have some relevance moving forward, perhaps in the era of the 14th Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And plus, we had a fantastic actor playing the Toymaker himself, a recurring face on our channel, the late great Michael Goff.
Yes.
I would say my number 2 would be the War Machines. I think it's a great story. It's very much a run-of-the-mill Doctor Who story if you look at the grand scheme of Doctor Who, but I thought it was cool. Just seeing a new synthetic race of beings, and then I would say the 10th Planet, the significance of the introduction of the Mondasian Cybermen, and obviously we get our first, regeneration, which would go on to sustain the show. And like you said, he doesn't, for the later episodes, he doesn't do quite as much, but it just had a vibe to it. Like an eeriness and this like sense of, whoa, how big can this show get? Like, the Cybermen was just a huge introduction.
Yeah, and they would go on to be like one of the big staples of enemies for Doctor Who. They maybe they stand head and shoulders next to the Daleks as far as big threats.
In different ways,
Yeah.
I mean, you've obviously got the more like in-your-face, like genocidal onslaught of the Daleks, but then you've got so many subtle and small ways that the Cybermen can collapse your civilization as well. Like, just when you think they're gone, they're not. There's a Cybermat somewhere, man. Like, there's a Cybermat just waiting. He's going to convert somebody, and the next thing you know, it's a
the
plague.
whole machine starts working all over again. Yeah, you either deal with the fascist guns that want to kill everything that isn't a gun, or you deal with the robot race that wants to turn everyone into a robot.
The cyber pandemic.
Yeah. Pre-Borg. Because of Star Trek terms, yeah.
Yeah, and in the comics, Borg and Cybermen actually work together. So Picard and crew had to work with the 11th Doctor. For me, my 3 favorites would be the Ark, because, well, I actually like the story, where, they land on the spaceship, they help the people go through, not having immunity to the flu. And then it's like, oh yeah, we sing your praises, good to see you all, bye. Only for them to land on the same spaceship 700 years later. And the servants that the humans were mistreating, they took over. Yeah, they got voice boxes because originally they couldn't talk, and then they decided to take over and then decide to just blow up the rest of the humans.
It is a good story.
Of course, I have to agree with both of you with the War Machines. I mean, what more do we have to say to sing that story's praises? And as well, I also agree with you with the 10th Planet. I mean, what more do we have to say? Though I do have to give a special shout out to the gunfighters, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I really did enjoy that historical, actually seeing them in the Wild West, which I believe the first Doctor says is his favorite time period. or one of his favorite time periods.
He still like the Reign of Terror.
Well, yeah, that too. You know, to actually see them get involved with, you know, dastardly ne'er-do-wells and outlaws, it was actually really cool.
In general, I actually like when Doctor Who kind of goes west. Those episodes are always really cool to me. I mean, it's not been done a whole lot, but the episodes that it has, it's like they're memorable.
Yeah,
and they're fun.
It's a Stetson. I wear a Stetson now.
Stetsons are cool.
But I guess now, do we get into the new companion? Well, first, why don't we discuss how certain companions left?
Yeah.
Well, during the Mythmakers, which unfortunately we could not see, Vicky actually decides to stay during the time period after she falls in love with the warrior Troilus. And through that, she, in a weird way, becomes the legend known as Cressida. Yeah, she actually ends up becoming a historical figure through staying.
And ends up being a storyteller.
Yeah, as we see in
The Blu-ray.
Yeah, the Blu-ray trailer for season 2, where we see her telling the story to her granddaughter.
Yeah.
And then we also have to say goodbye to Stephen as he decides to accept the responsibility of leading the society of the Savages and the Elders at the end of the story, The Savages.
But Peter Purves will play a big role in Blue Peter, promoting Doctor Who in the 70s, so...
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't get to see this story, but, hey, still very memorable.
Yeah.
And I guess now we get into the new companions?
The rolling door of new companions, yeah.
Yeah. First, as you alluded to, Katarina, played by Adrian Hill. She's a woman from ancient Troy, and she saw the Doctor as a god, you know, because of his advanced intellect and using science, that she saw the science as being like divine miracles. And she's also very well known for being the first companion to ever die during an adventure.
And that clip still exists, even though that episode doesn't. Her death clip still exists.
Which, how in the world did they find that but not the whole episode?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yep. Where she makes a sacrifice to save everyone.
Whether she wanted to or not?
I think she decided to do it
To sacrifice herself?
Yeah, even though she was being held by one of the prisoners.
Yeah, she got launched out into space.
She launched it herself.
And then we also meet Sarah Kingdom, played by recurring actor Jean Marsh. She's a security officer for Mavic Chen, one of the main villains working with the Daleks, from the 40th century, but chooses to help the Doctor and Stephen to stop Chen and the Daleks. She's also a short-time companion, and she is unfortunately the second death during an adventure.
Yeah. All from the time thing that the Daleks did. Yeah, almost killed the Doctor, but no. And then we get to the last two.
We of course meet...
Well, first Dodo, my favorite part.
Yeah. Jackie Lane as Dorothea, Dodo Chaplet, an orphan from the 1960s. She's a flower child. She's unsophisticated but happy. Academically intelligent, but dear God, does she lack common sense. Dear God.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of Dodo. I really am not. No offense to the late Jackie Lane.
Yeah.
She did her role perfectly fine, but I am not a fan of Dodo.
Yeah.
I mean, any of your thoughts?
The only story I have is the War Machines, where she gets herself brainwashed in episode 1 through 2 and then never seen again. She gets mentioned off screen.
Yeah.
Because her contract was up.
Yeah. She returns to her time to rest after being hypnotized and is never seen again.
Yeah.
And then there's that weird revolving thing of continuity of whether or not, did she go through hard times because no one believed her of her adventures, or did she just lead on to have a nice life? Yeah, the books and audio dramas get dark for her.
Yeah.
But then they decided to change the continuity.
And then we get to our final two, who will carry on to the second Doctor.
Yes, we get to meet Ben Jackson, played by Michael Craze, an able seaman serving the Royal Navy. Takes over Ian and Steven's role as the resident fighter. Ben's a very salt-of-the-earth individual. He's a genuinely nice, dependable, faithful individual. But he's prone to be suspicious when kept in the dark or not understanding what's going on. You know, he very nice, but he has that kind of he's a bit naive sometimes, or I really like Ben.
Yeah, me too.
And of course, he's one of the first companions to watch a Time Lord regenerate. And then, of course, we get to meet Polly Wright, played by
Annika Wills.
Thank you.
Who is also at the time the wife of Michael Goff, the Celestial Toymaker. So yeah.
That's funny. Polly is a posh and sophisticated woman from 1966. She's vivacious, attractive, and alternately shy and aggressive. She's often nicknamed Duchess by Ben. And they develop kind of an odd couple relationship, you know, where they sometimes butt heads, but she's very receptive of Ben's protectiveness of her. And in future stories, whether they be audio dramas or novels, it's kind of alluded to that they may have had a romantic relationship with one another. Though there were a couple instances where they tried it, but it didn't work out, but ultimately in the end they did end up together. And of course, she's also the other companion to watch the Doctor regenerate for the first time.
Yeah. So you want us to rank the seasons, or you want us to rank the seasons, or what?
Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and rank the seasons?
Second season's my number one, with it being like an 8 out of 10. First season, 7 out of 10. And of course, because of the lack of stories for third season / fourth season, I'm putting that together. That's going to be like a 5 out of 10. Sadly, not because of choice. There's not much.
Should I go?
Yeah.
I agree with you, the second season being the best, but I give it a 9 out of 10. It would get a perfect score if we had the first 2 episodes of The Crusades. The first season, I give it a 7.5. As, it's really good. I just wish we had Marco Polo. Then I would definitely rank it a good 8. Maybe, I'd give it a good 8. And then I'm actually going to be a bit nicer to season 3/4. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Yeah. What stories we do have are really good. It's just unfortunate we're missing most of it.
I actually mirror yours almost perfectly. I give season 2 my number 1 slot with a 9 out of 10. And same gripe, the missing episodes. I mean, I would give it a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed that season. I mean, I truly did. It's one of my favorite pieces of classic Who that I've experienced to date. Season 1, I give that a 7.5. No Marco Polo. The series was, sort of,
Finding
its footing, and we had some, great times in it. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't rank it where season 2 was. That was like we've come in and we've perfected the formula, and really delivered a great season. And then for season 3, I also give it a 6, and it's just too much is missing. Revolving door of companions can be a bit jarring, especially when not all of them are as lovable as some.
Though we all like Ben and Polly.
We do, absolutely. But I think that can just be a bit jarring. That and just so much missing content. I mean, it's almost, if I could give it an incomplete grade, I would. But I can't, so I'm going to give it a 6 just because the stories that I love in it are just timeless and fantastic. So that's why I ended up giving it a 6. Mostly because of the 10th planet. I'll put it to you like that.
But if you kind of disagree with our opinions, or if you have more insight on it, go find us on Facebook, The Real Screen Team. Find us on YouTube, also The Real Screen Team. Where else?
You can also find us on Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram.
And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share our videos. That definitely helps us out.
Yeah, because, we've definitely gotten quite a few more subscribers. We're getting close to 200.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep, and before we go, we have first a Chris Pratt marathon with the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yep. And we're also going to do a marathon for the Guardians of the Galaxy, where we're going to discuss Volume 1, Volume 2, the newly released Volume 3, and the holiday special.
And then we're also doing the James Bond-a-thon.
Yes, it's going to be a much shorter James Bond-a-thon, as we're going to discuss On Her Majesty's Secret Service, starring George Lazenby, and The Living Daylights and License to Kill, both starring Timothy Dalton. And
also doing Year of the Spider for the Spider-Verse, because some annoying fan keeps bothering us. We know who you are. We're going to get on you.
We're getting to it, Steve, and we're getting to it.
And then, of course, the road for the Flashpoint, and that's all I have to about the upcoming Flash movie, and that's all I have to say. So, thank you for being here, John. We'll see you once
thank you very much.
Once we discuss the second Doctor.
Yeah, look forward to being back for my favorite classic Doctor.
So want to roll us out?
Sure. Well, thank you all for watching. Definitely come back and watch us again. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It really helps. Well, cut, print, that's a wrap.